as the 18th largest city in the state of Michigan, I'm hoping we move numbers up for you that we're up there pushing the 5th and 6th city with the number of outcomes for votes for you.
Awesome.
Thanks for coming out to do
Thank
Go ahead.
As our next governor, how are you going to handle right to work and the retiree tax that we've been?
Well, first and foremost, here's the good news. The Republicans want to get rid of the retiree tax too. So I'm confident that no matter what happens with the legislative races, although I want the Democrats to pick up seats at the very least, if not take over at least one of the chambers. I'd like those, but the Republicans have so gerrymandered the place, picking up the Senate is very difficult. I am confident that it will come to my desk, the repeal of the retirement tax, and I will sign it into law. I fought it when Snyder pushed it through the legislature in the first place. I knew what it would mean to families across the state, and we've seen the hardship, in many different communities, and I'm eager to sign the repeal of the pension tax.
What about the
Right to work. So I was on the front line during the right to work. You can't even call it a debate, because they did in the dark of night, at the last moment in session, in the winter, after most people weren't paying attention.
I was there.
Because that's how they do it, right? You were there. We need the legislature to send something to my desk to sign. And that's why the work that Voters Not Politicians is so important, the work that they've done. When we take redistricting away from the legislature and actually make sure that every vote is equal, because we have districts that are drawn not to help a particular party, but to empower communities, we start setting the agenda. Now, as governor, there are a lot of things I can do unilaterally. As a former legislator, I understand all the levers of power in the governor's office, and I'm ready to use them to, live true to our values and to make things happen. Protections for workers, reorganizing state government, perhaps creating a Department of Labor again. But all of the things that I can do unilaterally, I cannot unilaterally undo right to work, and that's why picking up these legislative seats is so crucial. That's why what Voters Not Politicians has done is so important, that we get it over the finish line, because the next census is 2020. And that's when the districts get drawn in 2021, and we have to demand fair districts. Now, I know, see Coleman Young. So Coleman is one of, how many members are in the Democratic caucus?
11.
11. 38 senators.
Yeah.
Democrats have 11 seats.
Yeah.
When I was leader, we had 12 seats. I looked around, I took my oath of office the day that I was sworn in as the leader of the caucus, and we had just come off an election where 50% of the total votes cast were for Democrats and 50% were for Republicans. It was pretty close to 50-50. I should have been the leader of a 1919 tie. Instead, I was the leader of 12. That's how gerrymandered the districts are. So the majority is decided in a Republican primary, and that's why we get the crap out of Lansing that we get. That's why taking redistricting away from the legislature is so important, so that we can actually drive an agenda to my desk and I can sign the repeal into law. Will I use the executive power to do everything I can to undermine right to work? You bet your ear.
Well said.
But I need a legislature to get it to my desk so we repeal it once and for all.
This might not be one of your core issues, but it's one that's been in the news lately and matters a lot to me. And again, the governor might not be able to directly just solve this, but mass transit in Detroit, it's like, how many decades has the area been struggling? And now Elbers Patterson is there blocking it now again. And will you do everything within your power to try to move that off the dime?
Absolutely. I always hope. It was amazing that we were even in contention for Amazon, frankly. I mean, 6 years ago, no one ever would have taken, that proposal seriously from this region. But it was taken seriously because there have been so many strides made. We had a lot of work to do though. And when Amazon chose to take Michigan off their top 20 list, it's a mandate for us to get our house in order. It's a mandate that we make sure we've got the paths to high-wage skills. They said 2 things were most important to them that we could meet: talent and transit. So absolutely. In the legislature, I voted for the RTA to, create the possibility for a regional vote. The legislature had to take the vote first, and I supported it because I know what mass transit means in terms of moving, building an economy that for the people who live in this state. I am heartsick to see Brooks Patterson make the comments that he's made. I'm sad to see, the leadership not stepping up where they need to in order to build this, but we are going to do it. That's my commitment. We are going to use every ounce of power in the executive office to solve the transit problem for the people in Southeast Michigan, which inures to all of our benefit when we do.
I wanted to get this question to you when you were in Livonia, and I couldn't because there were so many people there. But what really sickens me more than anything that goes on in the state, well, it's one of many things, but is the fact that the state of Michigan has become a dumping ground for so many other states and Canada. So we take garbage from Canada, we take garbage from Ohio, from Pennsylvania. We have some of the deep injection wells over in Romulus. This city has wrote a resolution against us. Several of us went to testify against increasing the pressure that will grow the capacity, which it threatens our Great Lakes. I mean, we have 20% of the world's fresh water, and we're the dumping ground for the world. And so, is there anything that you would do to fight to keep foreign garbage out of the state of Michigan and protect our Great Lakes?
Yeah, so when I was in the House, we won an election based on what we called the trash meter. And we traveled across the state talking about how much trash was being imported into the state of Michigan. What's amazing to me is after 7 years of signing every right-wing, ideological piece of legislation that comes to his desk, Governor Snyder's now in favor of tipping fees. Governor Snyder's now said we're going to increase education dollars. I mean, who is this governor, and why did it take him 7 years to start setting some of these priorities? At least that's what his budget says. Mm-hmm. We got a lot of work to do, and I think that those, whether it's through tipping fees or through tighter environmental regulations, that you're pointing out an issue that I don't feel like I'm an expert in, but that's something that I care about a lot, and I'd love to have more input from you or anyone you think that I should be listening to develop what the policy looks like.
My colleague Ray Basham has been a huge.
I know the skunk at the picnic.
Oh yeah. Did he say that there too?
He's a guy who refers to himself that way. I'm not calling anyone names.
One of the county commissioners bought him a stuffed skunk. He says that because
you go into Commissioner Basham's office. There's a big skunk there.
There's a big skunk there.
Ray's unique.
But Ray will stand up and fight.
Yep.
And I work very closely with him on the county commission, and he's got a backbone. So does Senator Anderson, Glenn Anderson. Former Senator Anderson is now county commissioner.
Good.
8 of the county commissioners are term limited state legislators. I call it the rest home for term limited state legislators. but we are all strong on those environmental issues, and we have written resolutions, and he's very well versed because Romulus was in his ear.
And my commitment to you is this. We're going to win this election, and then the day after the election is not a day for rest.
Right.
It's a day where we start building the cabinet, where we start really setting the agenda. And even though you don't get sworn in until January 1st, the day after the election, we have to get the best qualified experts to lead departments. Not about who you know. I mean, right now, in charge of the environmental quality department, you got a former BP lobbyist. Like that kind of craziness isn't, constrained to just the Trump White House. That's going on right here in Michigan, and that's why I think it's so important that we've got great people leading each of these departments and setting the agenda based on science and fact.
What a concept.
It's rare.
Yeah.